Dylan Mulvaney broke her silence after being subjected to unimaginable attention and a smear campaign, essentially, by the right wing, because she was an influencer who took a deal with Bud Light, and her face was put on a can, and she's a trans woman. And even though this was a part of like broader marketing done by Bud Light, other influencers had it happen, it doesn't matter. She's a trans woman. And so the fact that she got a beer associated with America is beyond the pale, according to these right-wing freaks. And she was harassed endlessly. This is her finally breaking her silence after essentially having to go into hiding because of this harassment. Speaking about what it was like to go through this, and she put this up on social media.
One thing I will not tolerate people saying about me is that I don't like beer, because I love beer and I always have. I built my platform on being honest with you, and what I'm about to tell you might sound like old news, but you know that feeling when you have something uncomfy like sitting on your chest? Well, that's how I feel right now, so this feels like the right thing to do. I took a brand deal with a company that I loved, and I posted a sponsored video to my page. And it must have been a slow news week, because the way that this ad got blown up, you would have thought I was like on a billboard or on a TV commercial or something major. But no, it was just an Instagram video. And the wildest part is that they also sent me one can with my face on it. You might have seen it. And funny story, I had the can around my house, but then I realized, wait, I need to protect this can. So I hid it somewhere, and now I can't find it because I hid it so well. But when I do find it, I feel like it needs to go in a museum, preferably behind bulletproof glass.
Right.
And you might be thinking, Dylan, why bring it up now? I'm bringing it up because what transpired from that video was more bullying and transphobia than I could have ever imagined. And I should have made this video months ago, but I didn't. And I was scared, and I was scared of more backlash, and I felt personally guilty for what transpired. So I patiently waited for things to get better. But surprise, they haven't really. And I was waiting for the brand to reach out to me, but they never did. And for months now, I've been scared to leave my house. I have been ridiculed in public. I've been followed. And I have felt a loneliness that I wouldn't wish on anyone. And I'm not telling you this because I want your pity. I am telling you this because if this is my experience from a very privileged perspective, know that it is much, much worse for other trans people.
We have a part 2 of this, but I mean, she is just, you can tell why she's an influencer. She's so engaging and sweet, and like I mean, it's disgusting, the amount of hate that was directed at her.
Yeah, I mean, making her an object of hate. 26 years old, should not be in a position to have to navigate this stuff and be put into this position by a major corporation and then completely thrown under the bus.
She addresses Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch throwing her under the bus in this part here.
For a company to hire a trans person and then not publicly stand by them is worse, in my opinion, than not hiring a trans person at all, because it gives customers permission to be as transphobic and hateful as they want. And the hate doesn't end with me. It has serious and grave consequences for the rest of our community. And you know, we're customers too. I know a lot of trans and queer people who love beer, and I have some lesbian friends who could drink some of those haters under the table. But to turn a blind eye and pretend everything is okay, it just isn't an option right now. And you might say, but Dylan, I don't want to get political. Babe, supporting trans people, it shouldn't be political. There should be nothing controversial or divisive about working with us. And I know it's possible because I've worked with some fantastic companies who care, but caring about the LGBTQ plus community requires a lot more than just a donation somewhere during Pride Month. And all this to say, bottom line is that if you follow me, if I've made you smile, if you care about me, I need you to care about every trans person. And I need you to support us, and I need you to stand by us. And hey, it's still Pride Month. So I'm gonna celebrate being alive. And I'm going to celebrate the trans people in my life and the ones I haven't met yet. And I'm going to celebrate the fact that no matter how many thousands of horrible messages or news anchors misgendering me or companies going silent, that I can look in the mirror and see the woman that I am and that I love being. And I know you were probably here for the tea of it all, but I would love for something productive to come from this. So there is a link in my bio to the Trans Law Center, who is doing some wonderful work if you have the means to donate. And to the good people out there, I love ya. I really do.
I mean, this is the emptiness of corporate pride in practice. They wanted Dylan's platform. They wanted her audience. And then when she was the subject of the most deranged targeting of an individual that I can remember, on behalf of the right wing, they threw her overboard.
Didn't have anybody reach out. No, nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to contextualize some of the efforts against Dylan Mulvaney from all over the right. James O'Keefe was waiting in her hotel lobby to find her, walking into an elevator with her, asking what she thought about genital mutilation for kids. Nikki Haley used her as a part of her stump in New Hampshire to no applause, and equated her experiences to saying basically no wonder women, young women, are have more suicidal ideation than normal. She basically ran.
Yeah, sorry, Bradley, but that whole thing of blaming this person and trans people in general for a suicide problem among teen girls when most schools do not have trans people, right? Like is such
just by her presence, they're increasing,
or presence in culture, not even in schools, right? Because this is rare.
Yeah, and suicidal ideation is up across the board for children.
And we're going to blame
don't look up the numbers for trans people with suicidal ideation, and that's all because you guys won't allow trans people to have gender affirming care, which alleviates. There's direct evidence, incontrovertible, if I can't say this damn word, evidence that shows that allowing trans affirming care to happen under the guide of a doctor is incredibly helpful in reducing rates of suicidal ideation among trans people. Sorry, Matt, keep going.
Well, I know you made the point earlier, like there's a narrative going on among the Tim Pool type hysteric anti-LGBT people who are like, there is a concerted effort among the powerful to trans your kids and groom them, and whatever. And actually, like to the extent that Bud Light uses a trans influencer's image, it's because they think it will sell beer.
Yep.
And the second that it seems like it won't, because this issue is one we're going to win, folks. Don't get that wrong. But it's on the knife edge now, and there's a huge reaction against it. So Bud Light got spooked. That's all that they give a shit about is what does this mean for us selling beer? And it is something like, I see some people in the chat being like, how did she think a company would have her back? Because she's an influencer who's in her 20s. Yeah. Like, sorry that everybody isn't so up to date on how hollow this stuff is. We need to get there, but like this is a really useful demonstration of that point, and elaborate in a way that like is just from experience, in a way that nobody can really deny now. Everyone's been making the point about the hollowness of corporate participation and pride for a long time, and then you get people like Greenwald or Blumenthal acting like, oh, look at these people they don't care that Lockheed Martin's at Pride or whatever. Actually, people that are actually about this stuff do care, and you can see it with Dylan Mulvaney.
And the point here is that they wanted to tap into her audience, but then when it came to actually standing by her, they sided with the overwhelming majority of people who are not trans. That was the cold calculation that they made. And that's why looking at polls about trans people, looking at what plays well in terms of allyship for them is a really like gross way to kind of view allyship for trans people. They are a small minority of this country. So of course majority opinion is not going to be tilted in their favor as we're working through these issues in real time in the public. I don't care about what the majority thinks.
People hated MLK.
Again, 25% approval rating at the time of his assassination. He doesn't really matter because he was standing up for what's right, and that's what everyone should do here. But
And another thing is the reason she says the reason she mentioned the bulletproof glass thing in the joke she made about the can with her face on it, which again, just to remind people, this was not an ad campaign you would have seen on television. This is not an ad campaign you would have seen on LED screens in Times Square. This is not an ad campaign you would have seen on billboards all over Los Angeles. This was a paid, sponsored advertisement on Instagram.
it's insane.
The highlighting, the magnifying, the metastasizing of this particular ad is courtesy of the right-wing freaks who wanted it to be magnified. If they had not said a single thing about it, no one would have known about it.
Right, but and the right wing is going to do that though. So the question is then on these corporations, which is, when Bud Light made this decision to be absolutely cowardly and throw a person that they were using to sell beer under the bus, that gave this an entirely new momentum where you turn it on Starbucks now, you turn it on Target, and all of a sudden they're putting their pride displays down. So it's the thing is like, they should have never got involved in any of this at all.
Yeah.
Because this does way more harm than the idea that like that representation helps that much. I don't think so. I think it's like good. I think it's fine. If you want to, I think it is cynical also, but like if you're going to pull back on that when it gets hard, that's even a worse message than you going along with where the rest of society is on these things.
Well said. Professional dumpster fire. Hey, MR crew. Philly's DSA abortion rights working group held a super successful clinic defense action in response to the March for Life last Saturday, and I just wanted to share the victory we had. 100 people come out to bodily autonomy rally and counter march that ended in a clinic defense action. We had so many people at the Women's Center on Apple Tree Street. The March for Life had to change course to avoid our crowd. I've been doing clinic defense for almost a year, starting out with about 12 other people, and to see us grow and fill the street brought tears to my eyes. I want to thank you all for introducing me to DSA and giving me the tools to educate myself in activism and political engagement. Love y'all. Left is best.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Awesome stuff.
I wish I had a positive sound drop to all I have is this. Well, here.
You know, I try to encourage people with posts and try to, help them if I can.
That's the most positive drop I got.
I can see that guy's face.
Noah Colwyn's
glistening.
Twitter Avi for a second.
Is that Noah's? Is it
It
still
was for
Noah's?
a second. I don't think it is anymore, but the Tennessee Lieutenant Governor's just ruddy, sweaty face.
Okay.